Hi guys, I'm Pauline.
Hey, I'm Priscilla.
I'm Pal.
And I'm Tamiron.
And this is the P3T podcast. So today we'll be tackling a certain topic titled Dealing with Change. And it's something that a lot of us have gone through as human beings. As humans, basically, we always have to go through change. Times are changing, environments. We need to continue revolutionizing ourselves and learning from each other and growing from each other, and that's what change brings. Sometimes negative, sometimes positive. And I would like to ask one simple question. What are the negative changes you faced, and how do you think you've coped to them?
Recently?
Yes, recently.
Negative changes. I literally had one before this week started.
Well, I can go as you're calling
please,
it.
please.
So one of the negative changes, don't know if I should call it negative, but basically, at the end of my high school career, I broke my foot. Yeah.
Can I just say, I was on and think, the ex just busted.
It's okay. It was a bit funny, but yeah. So I broke my foot.
What are you doing?
Don't worry. Story for another day. I promise I'll tell you. Nione kando. So basically throughout the entire post high school, when people are going out and having fun, I was bedridden for most of it, which kind of sucked. And then even now, sometimes, especially when it's really cold, my leg does not function the way it's supposed to do. Yeah. So I guess it's been a change for me because I was used to just being able to be active for not very long hours, but being able to I don't know, walk for some time and dance sometimes, and it's something I used to enjoy, but now I can't do it for too long without feeling I want to sever my leg off because of it's paining. So I'd say it was a negative change, but I'm learning to deal with it by understanding now to take better care of myself. Just making sure I'm dressing warmly, wearing socks. I'm not jumping off your. I'm not walking too haphazardly. So it's been a learning experience for me, and I usually feel I don't know, sometimes I feel I'm too young to be so worried about my health. But it can be a bit scary when your leg refuses to move. You're there, you're telling yourself walk. Your leg is not today. Maybe tomorrow but one. But today I want to sit. I want you to sit. I want you to do nothing. So yeah, I guess that would be the change I'm learning to deal with.
My negative change that I faced recently. So I joined campus 2 seconds ago. And I had to be separated from my sister for the first time. And also, for those who don't know, I have a twin. So we've done everything.
His producer.
What's up? So we used to do everything together, but then in high school we started to try and diversify our interests, even though we ended up coming together. So if we were both into music, maybe she'd be into instruments and I'm into voice, things like that. But anyway, we'd done our whole lives together. We were together all the time. But then when we were picking unis, we realized that her course was not offered in the university that I'm going to. So we had to split and go to separate universities. So it was a bit difficult to adjust to because, when you're used to constantly having somebody by your side and now you don't have someone, it's a bit difficult to switch up. And then also, I think that's maybe why I get social anxiety. I don't know which episode will come out first, but I think that's also why I get social anxiety because before, I would just be sitting with my sister and then people walk up to you because they're like, oh my gosh, are you twins? That's how
conversation starts.
Exactly. So that's how the conversation starts. So we would attract people to talk to us because, there's something to talk about. But now nikikaa tu peke yangu kama pale, nani anakuja? What are you coming to tell me? You know? So that's been a bit difficult to adjust to, just all the dynamics of being a twin and being with somebody shifted immediately, and I had to be my own person for the first time. I had to learn to depend on myself. If I get lost, I'm by myself. I don't have any consultation. Yeah, so I don't know. That was a negative change. How I'm coping with it? How am I coping with it? I don't know. I just learned to take the positives. So when I'm with my sister, we get late for everything. So, but now when I won't blame anyone. I won't point fingers. But now when I'm with myself, at least like I'm able to get to places on time. I'm able to get to classes easier. I don't have to think of two people because of my budget. My budget has smiled. I don't have to think of fare for two people. It's just one person. So fare 50 bob. I'm not thinking times 2, 100. You know. So that's one of the. That's some of the positives. Yeah.
Wow. Tamiron?
For some reason, the only negative that comes to mind was me joining boarding school in class 6. So in my primary, we were the first class. Like normally people would join boarding in class 7. So we were the first class to join boarding in class 6. And let me tell you, my primary school was the ghetto. What? Now that like I think back on it, that school was just the worst. It was the worst. You know, I just didn't know any better because I had been in that school from
Class
from baby class all the way. So I didn't know any different, and it was a good performing school. So I guess I also didn't feel like I wanted to move just that I can be associated with a good performing school. UPTO KCPE, but thinking back on it, it was a very traumatizing time of my life, and there was no time I would go back to school and not cry. I would always cry. Like it was bad. It was such a bad experience. So how did I cope with it? You know, mvumilivu hula mbivu. Just persevere. I mean, eventually it ended. Eventually I was done with primary, and I moved over to high school, which now that I think back on, I really loved. So yeah, that's the most traumatizing bad experience I can remember.
For me, it's a little bit personal, but it's the only thing that comes to mind when I think of a negative change. And to be real, I think the negative change that really impacted me per se was like my parents' divorce. So it happened in 2020 when everyone was like crazily stressed about the economy, no jobs, and then at the same time, my parents were having their own issues, and now they decided to part ways. Specifically, my mom decided to call it quits. And to be honest, it was a very difficult time because a lot came to surface in terms of secrets that you didn't know of, and also dealing with the fact that this person is no longer in your life per se, because no one talks about divorce. Okay, a lot of people just talk about divorce shallowly, but until you really realize the impact it has, sometimes I think it's like mourning, especially if it's not a friendly kind of divorce where like both parties come together and decide on what they are going to do, like especially if they have kids, we're going to co-parent or something. But it was a very tricky time for me because my father was not like the best kind of role model or father figure that one would expect him to be. And it was quite trying because I remember those days I used to cry every day because I knew like probably I wasn't going to see my father ever again. And the fact that a lot of things transpired, and we also had, like, my mom and I per se, we had to file for a restraining order for him not to come and visit us ever again. It was like, okay, I'm never going to see my dad ever again. So it was like, oh my God, like, I'm not going to see my dad ever again. I can't see him, he can't see me. And it's like, in some way, it's like he became dead to me, which was like now mourning. Now I was like grieving for someone that I know is still alive, but it's like I've cut ties with, and there's no way it's going to be redeemable. So I think that was a very negative time in my life. And how did I cope? I can say I coped very well with my friends. My friends really stood by me during that time, picking my calls, even if it was 12 at midnight. They used to they used to pick my calls, come what may. And I cried every single day. I can't remember a day I didn't cry, because it was so shifting, like life shifted. Like, you're used to seeing your father every day, but now he's no longer in the house, you're not going to see him ever again. And it was like, oh my God, like, it's happening. And most of the time, especially if you've, I don't know if I'm speaking for a lot, but for those who have lived in a household where it's somewhat violent and somewhat toxic, you probably relate to the noxious cycle of, like, your parents, they fight and then they come back together. They fight and then they come back together. So even when everything transpired before the divorce, I thought it was going to be like that. Like, they're going to fight and then they're going to come back together.
Yeah.
But then it didn't happen like that. And now it was like, oh my God, it's different, you know. So it took a while to set in. But one thing I'm very grateful is having a very strong support system that stood by me. And no matter what, they were always there at bay to help me. Even if I'm crying how long, how many hours, they were always there to hear me. So yeah. On a lighter note, because it was quite tense. On a lighter note, what do you think are the positive changes you've witnessed in your life so far, like of recent times per se? What do you think is what's the change that you've seen, like, has brought so much joy, maybe success, something positive into your life? And yeah, just talk about that.
Positive change.
Positive change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm so glad the positive supersedes the negative.
Yeah.
Because, like, genuinely, high school was a positive for me. Not even in a social way. Like, I thank God, because the high school I went to exposed me to so much. And, you know, now I'm going into uni and I'm like, how do you not know this? You know?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Because, like, and then, like, you don't think about it until you're actually out there, but the level of confidence we have as students from that school, the, like, presentational skills,
Making PowerPoints.
like, it's quite a lot. So definitely school, like the high school I went to, for a period of time last year I was also in Uganda. That was a positive change because I got to experience other cultures, and wow, that was one of, like, the best times of my life. I really wish I could go back, but
Shule.
any life. Also, I guess school also. Oh yeah, I remember this one. Another positive change was the course I ended up doing in uni. I was supposed to do another course that I had already set my mind on doing. Like, even before I went to Uganda, in my mind I knew I was doing BCom because I wanted to be more into business. But then a part of me was like, I no, become no, not because of it, like just because of the.
Not for you.
It didn't feel like it was for me. I'm not trying to insult people doing BCom. It just felt a bit too straightforward and too simple. But it's probably not. It's probably really not a hateful struggle. But it just didn't feel like it was for me. Also, there's the fact that everyone does BCom, so competitive. Okay, no. In the sense that, like, when you go to the job market, you're competing against so many people that your degree almost becomes useless. So you end up doing or pursuing something else completely different from what you studied in school. So there was that. And then, genuinely speaking, I was just not I was not content with that pass, and I was trying to hide that away from myself because I didn't want to go through that whole I don't know what I'm going to do, because it was such a
It's a horrible
it's a horrible place to be. So eventually I remember deciding on doing BBIT, and to be honest, that's like one of the best decisions I've made so far. Things are going really well. I hope I'll be able to say this 4 years from now. But so far things are going so well. Actually, wacha tu hapo, we. But no, me, I'm deciding to remain positive. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel I'm like at a point where I'm just like, enyewe kaa singefanya hii ningefanya. You get like it just feels like I'm in the
Made
right
for
place. Yeah, it was made for me. So yeah.
I think also for me, the positive change that has recently happened has been joining campus. Because, I don't know, I think I had like some sort of skewed version of what life was going to look like. And I don't know, I'm grateful for the experiences I've had in campus right now, because I honestly have learned so much, and I've interacted with so many people, like people from like completely different backgrounds from myself, and like I've been able to make friends with people I didn't even think if you put us together in the same room we'd have a conversation. Like I've been able to meet so many people and like learn from different people, and also there's just been a sense of I don't know if I should call it responsibility, but so me in my school, my university, by the way, this education, it's yours. If you don't want, you don't want. If you want, you want. Like no one is going to look after you, no one is going to follow you, no one is going to remind you of any deadlines. So just that learning to be self-accountable and learning that, by the way, like this education, like yes, my mom is paying school fees and I'm so grateful for that, but it's also important for me, and I need to stop doing it like because I'm making her happy or because I need to get this grade. I need to do it because at the end of the day I want to do it. Otherwise, let me just do a different course.
One positive for me, I didn't think about it, but Tamiran, you brought it up and it's the same. I think one thing that was a positive change was high school. Even though it had its bad moments and its good moments, overall, the outcome that has come from it has been positive in university, because doing presentations and group work can be a struggle. But in high school, the assignment that I would be given, to do in like 2 weeks, to submit over 2 weeks. In 20 minutes, you'd be told you have this, that, and that. Make a PowerPoint, make a flip chart, present. And you do it very efficiently and get okay poor. And if you are getting graded on that, I feel like we would all have spectacular grades. All of us A. So that, in that sense, I draw a lot of my confidence, a lot of my skills through high school. But I'm also grateful to be out of high school. Because I liked our high school, but also like not being in boarding anymore, being free, kind of, getting to go places. I don't have to wait for the holiday. Until the end, I can finish class at 11. So I think it's a positive change that I've really liked. Just adjusting to life outside of high school, outside of having a structure, like fully you mentioned, just being accountable for yourself. I think I've always been okay at being accountable for myself. So that's not been I'm a procrastinator. But I procrastinate effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it works. If it,
It
works,
works,
it works.
Yeah.
For me, a positive change. I think I have two positive changes. The first positive change is the fact that I started school recently, and I'm quite happy because I'm able to interact with other students. Like I missed interacting with people, to be honest. Thankfully, with this university that I'm at, it's like an online kind of formatted.
You're doing online learning.
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing online learning, so I'm able to interact with people from different walks of life, from different countries, and I'm learning different cultures all at once, being able to meet new people from France, China, America. It's very interesting because
India wako.
yeah, even India, obviously.
Wako sanangi.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because like I don't know, there's just something about learning new cultures, like getting to know that there are other people beyond what you are familiar with. Additionally, another positive change, it did take me time to like unwind and fully think about it, but looking back at it, I think it's a positive change. It's tied with a negative change, my parents' divorce. And I think that was a very positive change because there's more peace of mind in our family now. Like, there's no, there's something about having a toxic marriage and a toxic family setup that just drags all the happiness in the family unit and just makes like, okay, let me give a good example. Whenever I used to go home, every single time from school, like, because I was in a boarding school, and every time I would go home, I would always pray, God, please, like, when I go home, I pray everything is okay at home. Because you don't know how it is going to be. Like, will the house be on fire? Or will you find someone is dead? Because literally it was so panicky in my part because I was wondering, you're always thinking the worst because you've seen the worst and that's what you're accustomed to. So I think with the divorce coming to fruition and now them being being actually divorced, I think it's positive in a light that we can eat food in a dining table without fracas, without arguments, without thinking that, oh, this person is just going to ruin the mood or something bad is going to happen. And it's very nice being in a happy family setup now, which I didn't see a lot of times. But now I'm able to reframe my thinking and see like, oh, families can actually be happy. Marriage can actually be good, even though like I've seen other people's parents and their marriages. I'm like, oh, marriage can be good, because the kind of environment what I was exposed to, it was the exact opposite. But now with the contributing negative factor out of the way, I'm able to reframe my thinking and reprogram myself with actual positive energy. So I think that was a positive change. Yeah. Also, in light of positive changes, a lot of us tend to always gauge the negative changes with something that you need to adapt to. Like if something happened that was negative, you need to conform to it or cope with it. But a lot of people tend to ignore that even positive changes do come with their own hurdles. Thinking about it, like, it does come with it's better than negative changes hurdles, like but positive changes do come with their own hurdles. So looking back, what do you think some positive changes have brought, like in terms of the kind of hardship or hurdles you experienced after this positive thing happened? What do you think are those hurdles you faced in coping with the positive change?
For me, I think it was just, I don't know if I should call it a hurdle, ama just like culture shock. Because so my positive change was starting school, and just being able to interact with people. And I also don't know which episode is coming first, but me, I'm a very talkative person. Like I like to talk a lot. So I remember, I will never forget my first day, my first lecture ever. I walked into school. First of all, I was late. Not too late. It was just like 5 minutes. But for me, I like reaching early. And then I sit, I gauge the environment. So by the time the lecturer is walking in, I'm already comfortable.
Especially for your first class.
Yeah. So I walked in at it was an 8 a.m. class. I walked in at 8:05. And we walked in at the same time with me and the lecturer. So I sat, and then I looked around, and I was shook to the core. Because I didn't in my life believe that a classroom could be so massive. There were so many people, and I'm genuinely not used to that. I think the biggest class I've been in had 40 or 50 people. But then here we're talking over 300 people in one room. I was just oh my god, I'm going to die.
Producer is highly relating.
Working with her head nodding. Public school is not for the weak.
And then the worst part is I consider myself a very talkative person, even in class. I was that annoying girl that's always talking with the teacher. That's me with every fiber of my being. So here, I was seated next the person I was seated next to. God, I don't even know. They were answering questions. They were and I was is this your first class? Have you had a previous class before this? We're starting together. And he was oh yeah, no, this is also my first class. I just really like talking in class. And I was same. But even raising my hand, I was shaking. I remember I put my hand up, and the girl that was sitting next to me was you need to relax. You're shaking. Yeah, you know what? It's never a must. So that was being comfortable enough to talk in class was something I struggled with, and it took me some time. Now I'd say I'm pretty comfortable, but in the beginning it was a struggle. Well, it was a struggle.
For me, my positive change, let me talk about two because I had a number. My first one was the whole going to Uganda. That was a really positive change, but I guess a hurdle was language barrier. We never really think about it until we're on the other end, and you really don't understand. Stories are flying. And obviously I tried to act as though it didn't affect me, but look, it did. So language barrier was definitely one of the biggest issues. And then I don't want to sound bratty, but also
You're gonna sound bratty.
I'm gonna sound bratty. But the level of development in Kenya and the level of development in Uganda elsewhere, they're different. So Kenya is a bit more advanced. So obviously there are some uncomfortabilities I had to deal with, network was one of the biggest issues. It took me a while to not want to throw my phone away because things are not loading quick enough. So yeah, that was another big adjustment. Hata wifi, unajua huku vile wifi iko kila mahali, there things were a bit different. So just adapting to that took me some time, but eventually I did. Also, school. My other positive was school. I mean, as much as I'm enjoying my course, obviously there are some units that just if I get the minimum, niko sawa.
They make you question. They make you question if you're really meant for this course.
No, there's just some units where if you just uko hapo bare minimum, I feel this is for every university though. Every course or for every unit, there is a minimum you're expected to get.
Yeah.
Below that you have to repeat. So me kuna units zenye niko zile za nikifika tu hiyo minimum
Uko sawa.
niko sawa.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, obviously that's it for me.
One of the positives, I mentioned high school, yeah? So high school was a positive, but it had so many challenges. Oh my gosh. So in my first term, like I was very brutally bullied. And like after my first term, I was one of those people of, I want to transfer, I want to go, and then the next term, it's me with my suitcase, not where So, but I don't know, after that, then I didn't, luckily, like I wasn't in the same areas as those people ever again. Like till the end of Form 4, I never got to interact with them. When we picked subjects, I didn't pick the same subjects as the worst ones. So, but like even by Form 4, like everyone had mellow dot. I think it was just, Form 1 angst. So, and by the time Form 4 I'd reached, like, I was cool with everyone, like no one was, in those people for Form 1, no one was mean to me anymore. So that was good, that was cool, I was fine with that. Another challenge that I faced was like, what challenge did I face? We were trying to start, our school was new, like brand new. So we were trying to start a CU, and that thing, it was struggling to pick, but like eventually it kind of picked. Then in Form 4, watu wakaona Mungu. So so at least, yeah, everything had, not everything. There were some challenges in high school, but the ones that I did have, and eventually, like, I came out of them, and they were full, like, they all came full circle. So after the struggle, there was at least a bit of rest and peace. Yeah.
Peace.
Okay, there's one positive change that that also stands out for me, and that's the time I got an internship to Tanzania. And it was really nice because it was a change of scenery and it's a new place, and also I'm getting to experience like the work environment, which will come in handy one day. Even though it was like a really positive change, there were some things that I didn't really like because I really missed my friends. I was there for how many months? Like 4 months. Yeah.
It was a bit long.
It was
I thought it was a bit more.
It was like 45 months. Yeah, 45 months. And I really missed my friends like crazy. There was one time I called Pal and Karen. I voice messaged Pal and Karen. And
Karen.
And I was literally crying. I was literally crying because I was like, oh my God, guys, I really miss you so much. Like, literally, it's made me count my blessings in terms of I had my friends near me, and now it's like we are thousands of miles away. And I really miss them so much, because sometimes you just need that hug. Other time you just need to see that face and you're like, okay, I'm fine, But I think that was like the hurdle for me because I really missed my friends so much. So yeah. On the other hand, a lot of times we tend to think about change as the involuntary kind of situation that happens like rapidly, like you didn't see it coming. But what about the voluntary kind, like when you decide you want to change something in your life?
That is what?
The voluntary kind of change,
The ones where you're like, I am tired, I'm going to change this about this.
Exactly. So is there, if you like think back, have you ever gotten to a point where you've realized like, by the way, I need to change something in my life, like we can't continue like this? And when did you realize that you needed to incorporate that change into your life, and how did you do it, or did you even follow through with it? Yeah. because procrastination is a real thing, you know.
Wow.
True.
I don't know if you can even call this procrastinating. We've been procrastinating for a year.
Same.
I think I'll start. I think I have 3. Yeah.
Wow. Good for
Really?
you, man.
My first one is this podcast. For the longest time, I always wanted to do content creation, just for the fun of it, just to see, you know. It was throughout quarantine. I thought it was a very lucrative thing, and it looked fun. So I was like, yeah, this is something I could like try potentially, yeah, but I didn't know in what angle, because I mean, you could be pointless, but I wanted to be more meaningful in the terms of what content I would typically create or put out.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of ideas would jump in and out of my head until one time I was washing clothes and I was just like, yeah, this podcast. And immediately I went sending voice notes to people and like realizing the dream. I don't know, sometimes I have this zeal that just makes me do things immediately. Like I don't even think twice about it. I just go and do it. Another one is okay, but this Loki has been part of my life from when I was really young. But fitness. Now, you know, in uni, in primary, you're kind of forced to. Okay, in my primary, I don't know about you, but in my primary, I was kind of forced to be active. And because I was good in one sport, they assumed I was good in everything. So they made me do everything. And then in high school, not same thing, but you know, the sport I was good in primary, I carried it on in high school. But then in uni, you really just do what you want when you want. So it had to be a deliberate effort to join that sport.
Not swimming.
Swimming, yeah. Swimming. Swimming. And then also, aside from swimming, just, you know, staying fit, because I don't have swimming every day. And the other like physical activities that I generally like doing, like running. So at the moment, I'm trying to achieve the goal of doing like non-stop, a 5K run non-stop. I did that previously, but stamina imeisha, so I need to rebuild it. So yeah, that's one of my goals. The last one is also school related. The high school we went to would give us a lot of opportunities in different things. Like Mara ni career fair, Mara ni an
Everything
IT
sounds so good.
contest.
I know,
But it was.
Yeah.
Mara, there's an IT contest. You know, these MUN things. And I remember I was genuinely like willing to pursue these things until one time I got rejected. And I got rejected, and that just killed it for me. So I didn't even try seeking out opportunities like later on in high school. So I got to like Form 3, Form 4 when I could barely change anything, and I was like, wow, I wish I took more opportunities. I wish I was more aggressive in the way I did things. And yeah. Anyway, so I made a decision that, you know, I'll do that in uni, because you know, every uni, I wouldn't even say my uni, every uni offers so many opportunities. All you have to do is run after them.
Yeah.
So personally, it's what I'm trying to do. Like, as much as I can, grab as many opportunities as I can, so that at the end of 4th year, I'm not regretting like I was in high school. I'm glad I learned that earlier on, because, you know, at least at least I had you know,
Realization.
I realized, and
Yeah.
at least I could, you know, it wasn't a bit too late. Yeah. So
So the changes I've consciously and voluntarily I can't even talk about this seriously. So it also revolves around fitness. So much like Tamiron, when I was in primary, I used to play. I don't even think it was considered fitness at that point. It was just playing because playing is fun and I wanted to have fun. So I entered high school, you know, I did a couple of sports. And then out of nowhere, I just found myself not really enjoying them anymore. Like, they stopped being for fun. They started being a bit more serious. And I guess I did like that. So I stopped. But see, the thing is, with like physical activity, like Tamiron was saying, it relies a lot on stamina. So, like, you can't go a whole year without playing basketball and then be able to play a full match. Like, it doesn't
or
work like
expect
that.
to be as good as you are.
Yeah, or
when
expect
you are
to be.
training.
Yeah, exactly. So, since like Form 3, I've been saying that, you know what, Pauline, we're going to be fit. And when I tell you I've tried everything, no, I've not tried everything.
Try something.
I've tried quite a number of things, and honestly, I feel like fitness is not for me. But that's a lie, because like, you have to be healthy. Like, it's no longer just a thing about having fun or being like super fit. Like, it's now being healthy because of like the lifestyle we live. You know, there's like transport everywhere, you're being driven everywhere. Like, you don't end up walking as much as you would have maybe 20, 30 years ago. So like, because of the lifestyle we live, like, you're encouraged to be fit. But now me, I have a problem, because running, I've tried it, I hate it. Sports, I've tried them, I hate them. Swimming, I've tried it, I hate it. So
Swimming is a sport.
I didn't mean to offend. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to offend. But yeah, you're right. It is a sport because it like requires you to exert so much physical force. Like lifting weights, I hate it. I don't even know what to do with myself anymore.
Physical exercise, you hate it.
I hate all of it except one, and that's dancing. Yeah. So now my problem with this dancing is so I do it for fun generally, but then also sometimes like there's nothing driving me to do it sometimes. Like, I'll tell myself, okay, this week we're going to dance 3 times in the week. I'll do it the first time because we're fitness, exercise. Like, I'll even get dressed in the house with shoes. Yeah, I'm that girl. I don't step on carpets. But like, I'll get dressed and like music will be playing and I'll be so excited. That's day 1. Day 2, I'll do like half the time I did day 1. Day 3, I'll be like, if I'm doing it to relax, so I can just relax by watching a movie. Same thing. So like, I've never been able to do it consistently, but I'll keep trying. I'll just keep trying.
I know people who can help you do it consistently.
Tutaongea kando.
Tutaongea kando.
Umemaliza? Okay. Mine are also 3, I think. So the changes that I've made. No, they're not 3. Let me just say 2. The first one is agreeing to join the podcast. So when Tamiron sent me one of the audios that she sent to many people, I was like, no, do I want to put myself out there? Am I really into it? Because as I don't know why, in high school I was like really proactive. I did a lot of things, you know, to the point where dropping a sport was because I couldn't have too many clubs and too many sports to do. So I was doing basketball and I wasn't that good at it. So I was just like, I don't have to do this because then
Really remember both of you in basketball. From one.
Yeah. So when I reached like Form 2, it was too much. Like everything was too much, and then my academics were, you know, everything goodbye. So I was just like, something has to go, and it can't be these other activities. It has to be the sport. So where was I getting with this? So anyway, so that's a contrast to now university, where like I've not wanted to do anything. I've just been going to school, going back. But also, I take so long to commute. So all my energy is gone by the time I've reached the school. So, but I think I should look into it this time to do. I'm entering into master's, so I should look into doing something. Somebody keep me accountable. Yeah.
We all got you.
Thank you. So, doing this has been now my first big university thing that I've done, So I'm glad I've gotten to do this. It's challenged my thought process a little bit. It's helped me grow in my faith, because now I'll come like I need to have content for PCT. So let me read my Bible, So yeah, the second thing that I've consciously made as a decision. So in my church, we've had a bit of, not to call out my church if you're watching, if you're listening. So in my church, we've had a bit of a struggle in the teens ministry, and I'm now getting out of teens church. So, because now I'm in uni. But my friends and I didn't want to leave it in the state that it is right now, because when we were teenagers, especially like from 1, from 2, from 3, it was such a vibrant church, and things had to switch up, things had to change over. So now it's not as vibrant as it was. So one time we sat at one of like the church, we went to a church leader's house. So because she was being given the responsibility of teens and youth, and we were complaining the whole time about the way like teens church isn't the way it used to be. It's not as vibrant, it's not as many programs. Hey, we complained. It was like a whole list, and this was a few months ago. We complained. It was like a whole list. We complained. Then my sister piped up and she was like, "You guys, we are not teenagers anymore. What if we become the change that we want to see?" And that's exactly what we did. So in the month of March and April, we ran a weekly like event program for teenagers. So they used to come to church, we like do fun activities, games, some people make presentations, and then like we debunk some topic or whatever. Then we have snacks and they go home, and they loved it, especially Form 4s. Form 4s mnakaliwa na wazazi, you're being told read, and they don't get a break. So for me especially, I felt like I had a sense of purpose, because we chose to be the change that we wanted to see, instead of complaining to see the change that we wanted to see.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the conscious change that I made, and I'm glad I made it. And now I feel like when teens come back, I want to be actively involved in planning something. So like even for November, I have a whole itinerary in my head of how things could go. Now I just need approval from the people I was working with to say, cool, let's take it forward. So yeah, that's something positive that I've done.
Oh, that's nice. For me, it's matching up to almost like Tamiron and Pauline. Mine was fitness, physical fitness.
Can I just say, good for you.
Hi, good for them.
Because like for me, I realized, because in TZ, the kind of food they eat, biryani, kaimati, mahamri, I put on weight, so much weight, like I was getting a second chin. So having a mother like mine, she was like, Priscilla, no, you need to there's a way like, hey, Priscilla, you need to what you're eating now, because now a lot of foods I was eating per se was fatty, with a lot of mafuta and cholesterol. So I decided to incorporate clothing.
Why do you say that so loud?
Clothing to we salute you.
You do you.
Clothing and this other lady called Maddie Morrison, who is a yoga stretcher. Like she does yoga, and she does amazing stretches. So even though you don't want to work out, be stretching your body. It's healthy. It's very healthy. It's not as tiring as physical fitness, so you can start from stretching. So it's worked out well for me. I got back to my normal weight, which I was contented with. And it makes me happy, like having something to achieve, like every morning when I do my work, I'm like, yes, I've done something, like it's checklisted.
You guys, does it set your day?
It's like it sets my day, like, yes, determined, stamina, we can face the day. For me.
For me too. Yeah. Yeah, run for police.
Yeah. So I think that's much of it as we conclude. I'd just like to say that when you're dealing with change, sometimes you need to reframe your thinking. So don't look at it as, yes, it could be negative, but try and weigh out the pros in the situation. Despite the fact that it looks like a cloudy day, it doesn't mean the sun doesn't exist.
Woo, period.
Nice. Snippet.
Yeah, actually.
So you need to start with reframing your mindset and being in sync with your mind and your heart for the change to come to fruition, for the change to come into reality. You need to have that determination from your mind and the determination and drive force and the will from your heart for you to bring it into fruition. So yeah, I think that's much of it, and I'd like to conclude with a Bible verse if any of you want to add anything. Yes.
Yeah. Just, I know change can be hard for everyone.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a book that completely changed how I saw change. It's called
Sama, I think I know which book you're talking about, so I'm excited.
Who Moved My Cheese? That one. Wow, you guys, honestly, I feel like you should read it. First of all, the pages are so kidogo. They're like, 79?
And it's an interesting story.
And it's an interesting story, and the print is big. So you can read that book. I read it in like less than 2 hours.
Wow.
It's amazing. You should. It's the title, Who Moved My Cheese?
By who?
By, give me 2 seconds.
Someone.
By Guy Likuapa.
We can just Google.
I googled it. It was here.
It's okay. I Googled him.
Dr. Spencer Johnson.
Yeah, Dr. Spencer Johnson. Go check it out. Honestly, it really changes how you view change, and it helps you see it in a more positive light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this verse that my mom keeps repeating to me all the time, and sometimes I just hate it, especially the time she decides to use that verse. But Romans 8:28. All things work together for your good to all that are called according to his purpose. It didn't say some, it didn't say few, it said all. All things.
It really said all.
Yeah, it really said all. It really said all. I mean all. And it sometimes doesn't look like that, but there's always a greater plan than we know, So yeah, thank you for listening to this podcast. We'd really appreciate if you follow our podcast on Spotify. Also, we are on Instagram at P3T Podcast. You could also email us on p3tpodcastke@gmail.com. Don't be shy to slide into our DMs on our Instagram. We are always here. We want to have an interactive session with all of you, so do tune in, do talk to us. Feedback is also available if you want to give us any feedback. We really appreciate you. So
Like our posts, we work hard.
Yes, with our expensive equipment. Yes. So thank you guys so much. And bye.
Adios.
Bye.